This is Jimmy Burns from Malvern, Ohio, and you're listening to BBQ Central.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Welcome to the really big BBQ Central show. This is the show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling. By now, you must know that we originate from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio. It is the barbecue capital of the North Coast. And by the way, I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here. If you want to jump in on the show, it is a new number. Take it down and use it judiciously. 216-777-2120. That's 216-777-2120. You will get in touch with the phone screener at first. Give name, where you're calling from, what you want to talk about. And assuming you make the cut from the screener side, he'll forward you over to Cleveland, Ohio. And I'll pick up your call where I can. Again, that number, 216-777-2120. If you'd rather forego the phoning and get to the emailing, you can do that as well.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at bbqcentralshow.com or on the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
As always, everything else you want to find out about the show is at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you get the newsletter. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now, he is a incredibly successful competition barbecue pitmaster. He is now a newly dropped author, and perhaps even more newly than the authorship is his induction or making the class of the 2018 BBQ Hall of Fame. Somebody I have been efforting for the last number of months, in specific and incredulously over the last couple of weeks. It is indeed the pitmaster of Cool Smoke. Tuffy Stone will be joining us. So looking forward to chatting it up with Tuffy. Tuffy has been alerted that assuming the first segment goes as well as planned, which I have no doubt that it won't, we will tie it over to close out the first hour. So all Tuffy, all the time here. If you want to jump in, if I can fit you in during the conversation, it makes sense depending on what you're asking. I will go ahead and mix in phone calls as well. And then we will move to the second hour. And joining me at 10:14 is the first ever person to hold a editorship at a magazine called Barbecue Editor, originally from Ohio, widely considered to be one of the experts not only in the world of live fire barbecue and grilling, but especially when it comes to Texas barbecue. He is a quarterly guest here on this show, and he goes by the name of barbecue snob Daniel Vaughn. And much like Tuffy, if he decides that the segments are going extremely well because we have a lot of topics to talk about, there's a very good chance that he will run not only the first segment, but probably the balance of the second interview segment in the second hour as well. If we have some time left over, happy to take your phone calls, emails. We can go ahead and try and get rid of some of these prizes that are building up in the prize closet. Couple books, have some Traeger swag that we can give away, have a bunch of rubs and sauces that we can give away, all that good stuff. So check it out and fit in where you get in. Again, the new phone number to call with screener, 216-777-2120. or 2120, and then the email address greg@thebbqcentralshow.com. Now, if you are calling in on the phone and you have breaking news or you want to bust the lid off of a story that I haven't talked about yet, and you want what I would call protection, voice protection or anonymity or something along these lines, when I pick you up, say, I want protection. And then I'll go ahead and I've put a sound effect gate over the phone line so I can quickly make that happen, and then you can talk as freely as you want. You don't have to obviously identify yourself. That's why you want the autonomy on the protection line. And I will have digitized your voice to a certain degree. So, of course, we can still understand you. I mean, that's kind of key to the whole deal, but nobody would be able to recognize your voice. So, when I pick you up, if you need protection, announce protection, and then wait for me to give you the okay, and then we'll be off and running. And you can feel free to say whatever you want, that nobody will know who you are. Another added feature, benefit, adding value here for you callers, potentially. We don't get a lot of callers on the show, I know. It's a little nerve-wracking, even though it's a globally broadcast internet show. Not internet radio, I don't like to say that term, internet show. That's what it is. It's an internet show. 216-777-2120, greg@thebbqcentralshow.com. Ask for protection if you think you might need it or you want to drop something very succulent and juicy. All right, before I get to a follow-up on the Emily Park stuff that we did last week, I got a really cool picture on Facebook, so I apologize for the audio podcasters here. But this was sent to me by a dude named Eric who follows me on Instagram, sent it to me privately. Got his hands on the Stephen Reichland book tour. I'm not sure exactly what stop he was at or where he was at. But he got a copy of Stephen's new book and then had Stephen sign it, if I can draw your attention to the screen right here. So here's the Project Fire book. Last book was Project Smoke. This one's Project Fire. And it says, to Eric, BBQ Centralite. Regards, Stephen Reichland. I think that's what that says. But it says, to Eric, BBQ Centralite. So let it be known that if you are of celebrity ilk and you find yourself on this show, no matter where you are in this wide sweeping country of ours, nay, dare I say, this wide world globe of ours, and you're a fan of this show, you might get to run into other fans/guests of this show. This is Eric supporting Stephen. I support Stephen. Stephen supporting us as Centralites and hosts for showing up once a month. All coming full circle right there at that book signing. Eric buying the book, Stephen signing it, and calling out BBQ Centralite, which is, you don't really see a lot of that. Certainly we all know that the followers of this show are called Centralites. That's what I affectionately refer to you as. But to actually get it in print on the book, something a little bit more magical. So congratulations to Eric, and I'm sure that was incredible. Now, let me go, and I wonder, like, Eric, if you should share with me your thoughts on what it was like meeting Stephen and how approachable he is. We obviously heard that from Dennis Busso last week because he was at one of the Barbecue University at the Broadmoor type deals. But I'm wondering from a book perspective, how much time you get with him in line. Does he make as much time as you want? All that stuff. So Eric, hit me up. Let me know how that works out. All right, so following up on the Emily Park segment I did last week, I emailed her after the interview and asked how many times I was nominated by the general public in her email back to me. This is what she said. Good morning, Greg. Thank you for having me on. I'm happy to answer any questions and love any feedback that would only make the BBQ Hall of Fame continue to grow and be strong. As for the nominations, I'm not certain how many times you have come through, but I do know I have seen your name a time or two this year and last year. So keep those applications coming. I think it's great, actually, when we get someone nominated a couple different times from different folks because we learn a lot more, get a new/different angle, and sometimes they are nominating for different things. One may be for someone being an amazing pitmaster, and the other one, for the same person, might be for somebody teaching barbecue to the youth. So although it may be more to sort through, it's very helpful. Thank you again, and keep spreading the good barbecue word. So, first things first, right? Let's make sure we're hammering down the fine points. The most important thing is that in the 2-year grassroots movement, I have tried to maintain to get in, or at least get on the nominations list for the BBQ Hall of Fame. We can confirm that my name is in there and being bantered around. A point 1B to that, we know that nobody wants to have me up.
Get that big stuff out of here.
The first nomination, okay, I can see. I don't get it. The second nomination, I mean, come on!
Get that big stuff
10
out of here.
years plus. You should get, as I said in March, you should get a Lifetime Achievement Award. Forget about the BBQ Hall of Fame. By the way, I meant to get to it a number of different times the last couple weeks. The 2018 official class is my next guest, Tuffy Stone, Charlie Virgos from Rendezvous Barbecue, and Tootsie Dominance from Snow's Barbecue. So congratulations to all of them. Tuffy Stone coming up out of the break. I want to talk to you quickly about Big Poppa Smokers, the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue. Their curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies get you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. Everything at Big Poppa Smokers has been Pitmaster approved by Sterling Big Poppa Ball himself, from the award-winning rubs and sauces to American-made grills and smokers. Big Poppa Smokers has everything you need to be a better outdoor cook. Whether you're the backyard fanatic or the competition pro, Big Poppa Smokers has something for you. Big Poppa Smokers, also known for their championship rubs and seasonings, popular flavors like Sweet Money, Cattle Prod, Cash Cow, all proven winners on the competition scene and in the backyard. Big Poppa's offers 13 perfectly balanced flavors that will transform ordinary meals into extraordinary, whether you're cooking to impress judges or grilling for your family. Big Poppa Smokers' award-winning rubs and seasonings just don't disappoint. Over the past few years, there's something called the West Coast offense that has really been taking over the competition scene. You pair up Big Poppa Smokers with simply marvelous barbecue rubs to form that West Coast offense. Now, aside from all those great rubs and seasonings, you got this thing called Granny's barbecue sauce. If you're looking for a new go-to barbecue sauce that will please everyone, Granny's traditionally yet powerful flavors remind us why we fell in barbecue in the first place. Find Granny's barbecue sauce and other top-rated sauces at BigPoppaSmokers.com. Now, if you're looking for a versatile smoker that's easy to use, check out the Mac 2-Star General Pellet Grill. Big Poppa Smokers is the exclusive Mac dealer and even offers special smokers that Big Poppa trusts for his competition trailer, like the Old Hickory Ace BP. If you're a backyard barbecue enthusiast looking for a durable and versatile grill that will last forever, the M Grill is just what you need. They're built like tanks. Not sure what kind of grill you need? Really can't go wrong with any kind of grill or smoker featured on BigPoppaSmokers.com. They have something for every kind of backyard cook. It's clear that Big Poppa Smokers is the place to go for all things barbecue. Every product featured on their website, hand-selected to help you barbecue better. Give them a call at 877-828-0727 or shop their website at BigPoppaSmokers.com. That's BigPoppaSmokers.com. We're back with Tuffy Stone right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Hey, this portion of the show being brought to you by Butcher's Barbecue, makers of award-winning injections, marinades, rubs, seasonings, barbecue sauce, grilling oils. All the Butcher Barbecue products have been tested on the competition circuit as well as in backyards worldwide. Be the pitmaster of your neighborhood and the king of your cul-de-sac. Visit butcherbbq.com to stock up and always trust your butcher. All right. Trying to line up Tuffy Stone here. Make sure my first guest this evening, the most recognizable face in barbecue, depending on who you ask. You see him on television and his restaurants on the competition trail. A few weeks ago, he was voted into the BBQ Hall of Fame class of 2018. Also, written a new cookbook entitled Cool Smoke, The Art of Great Barbecue, which we'll be discussing as well. Let's go ahead and race to the Traeger Grills hotline. And welcome the Pitmaster of Cool Smoke and friend of the show, Tuffy Stone, joining me. Tuffy, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. I was nervous there for a second. I thought I'd dialed the wrong number. Didn't think you could connect me, but it sounds like you hit the right button.
All right. Well, I'm glad I'm hitting the right buttons. I should. I'm only doing this like 10, 11 years now, so I better be knowing what I'm doing yet. Anyway, Tuffy, always appreciate the time here and lots to talk about. So I guess before we get into the Hall of Fame and the book discussions, if you could weigh in on this, I wanted to get your thoughts. Last Friday, it was reported that Anthony Bourdain had taken his own life, and I wondered if through your food travels, whether it was before you got into the barbecue scene and you were doing that classically trained chef stuff, or after you had gotten into the barbecue scene, if you had ever crossed paths with him, or if you were a fan of his and watched his shows, just some of your thoughts.
I never had the pleasure of being able to meet Anthony Bourdain, but as a chef who made my living cooking for 30 years now, he definitely impacted me. Kitchen Confidential, when that book first came out, having cooked for so long, that book just really resonated with me. And then, of course, the travels that he took us on in the world of food, I was looking at Instagram. I guess it was a Friday morning, and I was seeing a lot of posts, and I didn't realize it was Anthony at first, and then when I realized what had happened, it just you've all seen it. It's like the impact that just the ripples in social media. He touched so many people's lives, whether you were a cook or just a fan of food. I'm just, and so many of my good friends had close relationships with Anthony, so it definitely struck me.
We're talking with Tuffy Stone here from Cool Smoke. Tuffy, we'll talk about the book here in a bit, and I guess first of all, I want to get the latest breaking news here from you, and I appreciate your thoughts, by the way, on Anthony Bourdain there before we had to reconnect. Is your inclusion into the BBQ Hall of Fame. A few weeks ago, the 2018 class was announced. Yourself, along with Tootsie Tominance of Snow's Barbecue down there in Texas, also Charlie Virgos posthumously make it in from Rendezvous Barbecue. You've won pretty much everything there is to win from a competition sense. You've been a successful barbecue restaurant owner. You've been on television. New book, obviously, that's doing well, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Where does the BBQ Hall of Fame moniker now fit into all of this other stuff that you've been able to achieve?
Greg, I'm still trying to wear that. I was in Memphis in May and doing a book signing, and we hadn't done a very good job of letting people know I was going to do it, so it wasn't very well attended, and I was just sitting there at a table with a couple of folks, and I got a phone call from Kansas City informing me that I was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And, it's just anybody that really knows me and anybody that's ever watched a video of me getting a good call at a contest knows how emotional I can get. And I was sitting there with a few people at the table, and they didn't know who I was talking to, and I was just like, wow. I got a little emotional. Just talking to you about it right now, I still feel that emotion. I think that's something I really, I'm gonna have to work hard to live up to. It's quite an honor, and you look at like Charlie and Tootsie, and I mean Tootsie's been cooking for 50 years. Cooking barbecue for 50 years. it's an honor that I'm just so humbled and blown away, and there's so many incredible people that are on that list, and there's so many incredible people that need to be on that list. So I don't know. I just it's probably one of the most special things that's ever happened to me, and if not the most special, other than marrying my wife and having my son. But it's really special. It's up there.
Tuffy, can you pull back the curtain a little bit in regards to that call? Like, what do they tell you? How does that announcement come? I'm really interested in hearing that.
Yeah. I'm sitting there. I'm doing this book signing. We're actually. I'm just doing this book signing, and not much has happened. And it's Thursday before the Friday of Memphis in May, and Eric he calls me and he said, "Tuffy, we have a barbecue contest, as you know, the American rule, but we also have a Hall of Fame." And I just wanted to call and tell you that there's a lot of people that think a whole lot of you, and you've been nominated to be part of the BBQ Hall of Fame, and it was just like, wow. I was like, it was the funny thing is that it was a phone call. It was a caller ID. I didn't know who the phone call was coming from, and I was like, all right, do I answer this or do I not? But yeah, it was definitely a highlight of I just, like I said, I have to do a lot to live up to it. It's just really a special honor.
I remember asking the same question I'm about to ask you to Chris Lilly when he was voted in a couple years ago. He was in class of 2016, and I'm interested to get your take on it. Certainly, I mean, you're obviously very humbled by it, and as you said, you feel like you have, maybe more now to live up to as far as to carry that mantle, if you will. But is it hard to fully realize the Hall of Fame stuff? Because if you really think about it, you are not in any stretch of the word retired. You're not near the end of any career. You're still grinding it out as hard, or perhaps maybe harder than you ever have before. In other words, you're a Hall of Famer in the prime of your career. Is that something that you can kind of get your head around?
No, and it's like when I read that Tootsie had started cooking barbecue 50 years ago, and she's still getting it at 82. And I had the pleasure of being with her down in Austin a year or two ago, and she's such an awesome lady. She has qualities about her that remind me of my grandmother. She just makes you feel really special. And I was sitting there and I'm thinking, this lady's forgot more about barbecue than I've ever learned. It's like 50 years, Greg. I mean, 50 years. I mean, that's like how intimate, how good do you get with that fire and that smoke and that brisket or that piece of meat? So, I don't know. There's a lot of you get to talk to them every week on your show.
Yep.
There are so many amazing people out here in the world of barbecue that have so much knowledge and bring so much to the world of barbecue, and I just feel like I'm just a youngster. It's like I got a lot more cooking to do.
Tuffy Stone joining me here on the show. From an inductions speech portion, have you given any thoughts on what your speech might entail, and also do you get to pick who does it, who gives you that induction speech before you give your own?
Last year was a little different on the award ceremony than what I've seen in the past, and so I don't know the answer to all your questions. I have watched some of my friends and some amazing people speak at the induction ceremony, and Melissa Cookston, I think last year had such an amazing talk, and Pat Burke, who I have so much respect for, I listened to him speak, and Myron, I listened to him speak, and all I know is there's so many people that have impacted and helped me along the way, and so it'll be about giving thanks to those people, because I've just been my list is so long. When I was working on the book and I was trying to do the acknowledgments, and I was like, man, Greg, I was hoping so bad I wouldn't miss somebody, and I think I have, but the list was just there's so many people, so it'll be more about them and not so much about me, because it was so I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm really touched. Even just talking to you, trying to answer your question. I'm such a wussy. I get kind of emotional, but I don't know what I'm going to say. But hopefully, I better write it down, because it's gonna have to be more concise than what I'm saying right now.
Did you ever get a chance, or did you know Charlie Vergos before he passed away early in 2010 at Rendezvous?
I did not, but I have eaten down there, and golly, I mean, when you start talking about what are the regions of barbecue, and Memphis just pops up, and he was just such a force in that, creating that. I did not get to meet him. But I have been in his establishment, and again, there's another person that's done so much, and you talk about me being inducted into the Hall of Fame and being in my prime. I mean, here's another guy that just laid down decades of doing what you and I enjoy so much as a subject, as a process,
Tuffy, fans of the show know that, to a certain degree, I've really tried to hold the folks that are running that BBQ Hall of Fame to a certain standard, from like a few different aspects. One was kind of a transparency thing, because I didn't, and it looks like it's changed a little bit on the website actually, but I guess for quite a period of time, there wasn't really like a known process of how the whole thing operated from start to finish, and I personally found it a little weird that the Hall of Fame was asking for requests of nominations from the general public, because the general public, I mean, who knows what they're going to be up to. So, as someone who is in now, and obviously you want to make sure that the Hall is holding a certain standard, is there anything that, as you get inducted here in September at the American Royal, moving forward, that you would like to see the Hall to do, or any kind of a change made, or anything like that? Obviously, we're not asking to be salacious here, but just from running a good BBQ Hall of Fame, is there anything that you would like to see or that you would recommend?
Well, so as far as the process goes, you probably know more about it than I do. Here's what I think the process is currently. People were allowed to nominate people that they felt like were worthy to be voted on. And then I guess that turned into a list that then went to the members of the Hall of Fame, right, and they voted on it, or is it larger than that? Or are there other people that vote as well?
That's right. Yeah, you get nominations are whittled down to 9 by the committee, and then those 9 are sent out to the existing Hall of Fame members, and then those are whittled down to the final 3.
Okay. So, I can't speak for myself, but I think that Tootsie and Charlie were 2 really good people to go on list of Hall of Fame, and I guess I guess for me it would be, and when I look at the people that are Hall of Famers, we're seeing this, but I guess just making sure that all parts of barbecue and all, whether it be a restaurant pitmaster or a competition cook or a barbecue writer or media, all the things that help what you and I like to do so much, that I guess that we're looking at it all. We're looking at everybody. And how do you even measure that? I mean, how do you measure it, Brad? I mean, how do you...
Yeah, well, I mean, so that's been my biggest run over the last couple of years. I mean, of course, on this show, I always make the tongue-in-cheek joke of everybody nominate me. So if somehow I got in, I could give my speech and go, I mean, what's wrong here? I'm on the speech with Mike, or I'm on the same stage as Mike Mills, and I'm on the same stage as Myron Mixon, and this almost seems disrespectful that I'm here, but this is why I wanted to do this, to say something might need to change because you have a schmuck like me on the same stage as all these barbecue royals, right? So, but that's just the thing. I agree totally. You have to be able to look at the whole encompassing live fire barbecue and grilling industry. It can't just be competitors, or it can't just be restaurateurs, or it can't just be people that are in business. It has to be people from back in the 1800s, and that's why I had said a year or two ago, when the American Royal had originally got it from the online presence it was originally, that if they would have had a huge induction base, I don't know, 200 or 300 or 400 people, you could have a really good base of all sorts of different levels of live fire cooking and grilling. And then if you wanted to pare it down to 3 or 5 with no categories from there, then at least you have a huge base of inductees to go, because I don't think anybody could argue that Tuffy Stone, whether you're 50 or 80 or 90, I mean, barbecue isn't a sport where you need to be an elite athlete. I mean, Johnny Trigg is still operating at a high level right now, right? So
right.
It is hard to try and put...
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe there's a way to... Is there any process in addition? It's like if you take a shovel and you say, all right, I'm gonna take a shovel of sand and I'm gonna put it in the pile, and for everything that's noteworthy, everything that would be a reason why you should be considered for the Hall of Fame, you take a shovel and whatever it is. You're a good restaurateur, or there's some shovels. You're whatever it is. But I guess, is it? I don't know. I don't know about other Hall of Fames. I don't know how. Is it always just by your peers? Is there a calculated way to measure? I don't know. I can just tell you this. Charlie and Tootsie in the decades. I mean, the decades. Yeah. It's like, we're talking lots of decades. They deservedly should be on that list. And it sounds like what I'm hearing from you is what's important to you, and it should be important to us all, that anybody that gets on that list should be on that list.
No doubt about
it. And anybody that we don't miss anybody.
Tuffy Stone from Cool Smoke joining me here on the show. Tuffy, can I hold you over for a break and we'll talk about the book?
Sir.
All right, stand by, and we'll be back with Tuffy Stone here in just 1 second. I'm going to talk to you quickly about the BBQ Guru. I don't know if you saw my Facebook page that I shared, but Bob Trudnak and Mo Kason are at it again with their promos. Unbelievable stuff they have going on. Go to my Facebook page, the show one, and check it out. It's hilarious. Hey, the Guru has always believed that outdoor cooking should be easy, because it can be, especially with the Monolith BBQ Guru Edition grill. The Monolith is the world's first temperature-controlled smoker with a built-in power draft fan right in the ceramic cooker. That means smarter control, greater freedom with automatic temperature control. Easy to choose your cooking time and temperature. Let the Monolith do all the work of a sous chef or be your barbecue pitmaster. With minimal effort, you now have oven-like precision at the grill, and you can serve the tastiest, juiciest meals each and every time. That's consistency. Don't forget, when you're on the website and you're looking for a way to increase the rib capacity on your ceramic cooker, look for the rib ring. That's newly introduced into the market. I think it was $50, maybe a little bit less. You can get, if you want, 5 racks of St. Louis spares all the way around it, and then stick a whole chicken in the middle, or you can take the chicken out, add another rack of spares. You got 6 racks of ribs, so you can go from 3 to 6, doubling your capacity. Also, if you have the monolith, or you're going to get it, and you have an existing Guru controller, you don't have to buy a new controller. Just go ahead and slap the old controller to the fan, and you're off and running. Hit them up on the website, bbqguru.com, or call 800-288-GURU. That's 800-288-GURU, and ask all your questions. They'll make sure you're outfitted with exactly what you need to get you up and running right out of the box. More with Tuffy Stone right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Ready to get on the air? Call 216-220-0966. Now, let's get back to the LeBron James of barbecue talk. Greg Rempe.
This portion of the show being brought to you by CookinPellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all the pellet-driven cookers. The Traegers, the Green Mountain Grills, the Max, Louisiana's, you name it. There's a laundry list of them out there now. Visit CookinPellets.com for more information or to purchase. You can also visit Amazon.com to purchase as well. Good folks over at Cookin Pellets. All right, we are back with Tuffy Stone. Tuffy, appreciate you hanging with me through the break there. And let's go ahead and talk about the book for a second. You know, for the folks who might be tuning in for the first time or are just getting into the live fire cooking industry and don't have a lot of background on you, your foray into the barbecue world is indeed unique. The term chef is kind of tossed around quite a bit, maybe fast and loose these days, especially in the barbecue world. But you are indeed a classically trained chef first, before any of this barbecue stuff. Can you give us a quick look back at the time or the reasons why you decided that you wanted to cross over into the barbecue game?
Sure. And as you know, I get windy, so I'm going to make this kind of try and not take too much time. But so I never knew I was going to be a chef professionally. I was going to college and I was working in restaurants, tending bar and waiting tables because I needed to make money while I was going to college. And I had a roommate, and he was in graduate school, and I was in undergraduate school, and we liked to cook a lot. So, you know, my grandmother had given me some sourdough starter, and I was baking bread 3 times a week, and we had, you know, cookbooks, and we were making pretty good food. And one day I just had this idea. I was like, well, why am I tending bar and waiting tables? Why don't I try and set up an opportunity where I can learn under a great chef and still make money to help me get through school, but I'll learn how to be a better cook. And I always thought about it just domestically. And, you know, I didn't think about it professionally. And so I researched all the chefs in Richmond and made a list, starting with, you know, I prioritized it. What's the best chef to learn under? And at the top of this list was a guy, Alain Vincent, a little French restaurant called La Maisonette. He'd been the chef for Jacques Cousteau and, you know, a couple of Michelin 3-star restaurants, and he'd been at Memphis in Manhattan. So anyways, I set up an appointment to meet with him. I was pretty fresh out of the Marine Corps, put on a coat and tie and had a resume, and went and met with the chef and explained to him what I was trying to do. And the kitchen was impeccably clean, Greg. You know, they were filleting a whole salmon and stocks were simmering. It was just he and his sous chef. And the kitchen was it was great. And so I explained what I was trying to do, and he said he'd call me. But I kind of realized, felt like he wasn't going to call me. So the next morning, you know, after staying up all night trying to figure out what to do, I knocked on his door, and he opened the kitchen door, and I said, Chef, I'll give you on Wednesdays and Saturdays from 8 in the morning till noon. I'll work for free. I'll do whatever you want. And I didn't think he'd say no. And he said yeah. And that got me in the door. And I worked my way up to his sous chef and eventually his partner. And that's where I became a chef. And then my wife and I started a Cycle Pallet 25 years ago this November.
Wow.
And we grew the business to where I wasn't cooking anymore. I was just managing the business. So I needed a new culinary activity to reconnect with cooking. And so I bought a pit and got some hickory, got some pork butts, and made a rub and lit a fire and ruined a big old batch of meat.
that easy, right?
And that's how it was like, we don't have enough time for this show to talk about the whole story and what I think about barbecue. But I can make all this hard to pronounce food, all this fancy stuff. And nobody's ever intimidated by barbecue. Barbecue, no one's ever afraid to pronounce it. It's like, it doesn't intimidate anybody. But the real truth is, barbecue is a hard food to make.
Yep. Tuffy Stone joining me here on the show, Pitmaster of Cool Smoke, author of The Art of Great Barbecue. So the book is out, doing very well, but you know, for as long as you've been in this barbecue game, Tuffy, this is the first book. So I guess what made this time the right time? Because I have to imagine you have been approached at some point or another in the past.
Well, Greg, you know, I've been working on this book thing for a while, and various reasons it was just taking longer to kind of come together than I wanted to. And honestly speaking, at one point I felt like I was moving too slow on it. But when I finally, you know, decided to put on St. Martin's Press, my publisher, and signed the contract, it went from I want to do a book to all right, I got to do a book. And so I really started working on it. And the book, Greg, that I thought I was going to make, all of a sudden I realized, you know, all my friends have done this book, and they've done it really, really well. And what's the point in doing? I got to do something. There's certain things that I believe I want to teach in how to cook barbecue and how to cook with fire and smoke and these things that I've figured out, you know, over the years. But I also felt like I needed to, you know, to figure out what the voice of this book was going to be and what was going to make it, you know, unique, and at the same time, hopefully not be so unique that it would, the people that love barbecue, that they would still like it. And so I kind of went back to my I kind of blended my original culinary training coupled with all my studies with cooking with fire and smoke. I worked so hard on it. I didn't have a ghostwriter. Danielle Goodrow, who at the time she was the chef at a restaurant that I closed, and she's now working at my catering company as the executive chef there. But at that point, you know, I didn't have a job for her, and I said, well, Danielle, you can help me with this book. And, you know, so Danielle and I, went through that process together, and we had a lot of, we riffed on food really well together. But I didn't have a ghostwriter. I'm not much of a typer. I needed a lot of editing, and I'm really particular about things. I spent a lot of time on the photography. I like photography a lot, and so I brought up Libby Summers and brought Ken down, and then I had Jana Shea, who is like my editor. But I put a lot of time into this book, and I told my publisher or my editor from the publishing company, I said, BJ, I'd rather have a good book and make no money than to have a bad book and make money. And so I really tried to make sure it was quality. I towards the last few months, a lot of long hours, you know, trying to make sure I didn't have any mistakes. And then when it was finally done, it was like, and then I had to wait for it to finally come back after being printed. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, it's like you put so much of yourself into something like this, and then you give it to the world. And it's like, man, I hope you like it. You know, my first 2 reviews on Amazon were 2-star reviews, and both of them jumped on me because I had goose pastrami recipe in the book, and I'm a hunter, and so it just so happened I was hunting while writing recipes, and so I had killed some Canadian geese, and a lot of duck hunters will say, man, I like duck, but I hate wild goose. And what's sad is that goose pastrami recipe is probably one of the most beautiful dishes ever, and if you want to make it with duck, you can, but it's so delicious. But I read those 2-star reviews, and it was just like, I just felt like I was punched in the stomach.
Yeah, one of them was like, the book should be called 29 Things to Do with Fennel that you never wanted to know.
Yeah, I know it. It's like I read that, and I was like, yeah, and those, you know, that was another thing, too. It was like, you know, so we can write rubs with salt, sugar, granulated garlic, granulated onion, paprika, black pepper and cayenne pepper, and maybe a smidge of cumin. But how many of those do we make?
Right.
And, and we all love that flavor. It's a great combination. But if you're going to put, I think I have like 30 rubs in the book. So I just, I literally got like, I don't know, 50 spices, ground everything fresh. So like fennel pollen, I fell in love with fennel pollen. It is just so nice. I would just, I guess I'd like to cook for the people that wrote those 2-star reviews. I'd just like to put the food in their mouth and let them taste it and see if they would maybe swing over to the other side.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder how much time you spend online looking for reviews, or if you just steer clear, and then, of course, the first 2 you read are the 2 stars reviews, so I guess we'll see how that goes.
They were the first 2, Greg. You know,
right.
So now I'm not as quick to go and read them anymore because I care way too much about what everybody thinks, and so I was. But anyways, I think it turned out to be a nice book, and all I can say is this: I worked hard at it. I tried to do a good job.
Do you have another book already in the queue, or is it a one-off book deal?
Oh man, I think we're too soon into this for me to give you that answer. I'm still, I'm still doing a lot of work right now for this book, and so this year, 2018, is really busy for me. I'm traveling a whole lot, so I'm gonna probably have to let the dust settle, and it'll be interesting because I think what's going to be most important. Or how that question is going to be answered by, do people like this book or not?
Mm-hmm.
Because if people like this book, then that'll probably help compel me to. I can tell you this: if I did a second book, I'll do a much better job the second time than I did the first time because I know so much more now. But if I'm way off target in the flavors and the foods that I was trying to make, and that's not what people want, then I might be I'm not sure I'll do another one.
Do you have a favorite go-to recipe of this book?
Man, there's some really good ones. I mean, there are some dishes in there that I think are just stellar. And so like the celery seed rub is so good.
Mm.
The wings with the celery seed white sauce are so good. I'd never made a white sauce before this cookbook, and Big Bob Gibson's in Alabama, they're all notorious for these white sauces.
Yep.
I'd never made one before, Greg, and as I was trying to, it's just like that row I was talking about. I mean, how many tomato-based barbecue sauces are we going to make? And so I started to fool around with white sauces, and I fell in love with white sauces. They're so unbelievably good to me that I ended up putting 3 white sauce recipes in the book.
Wow.
So, the wings with the white sauce are really, really good. I just came back from an event in British Columbia, and I did that one day for a dish. I took the poultry rub, put them on the wings. I brined them first. It's the same brine that I use on the KCBS, the competition circuit. I put that recipe in there. But those wings, brined, put the poultry seasoning on there, which that's a whole other story because I had all these titles as placeholders, Greg, and so the poultry rub was originally just going to be changed because the truth is the poultry rub is so good on pork, it's unbelievable. But that the wings with the white sauce is really good. The steak seasoning that I put together I think is really, really good. The tri-tip recipe is good. The goose pastrami is really good. I got some really good right there. But and I tried to impart some of the knowledge and my thinking of what's helped me on the competition circuit. So I tried to put some of that in there too. Another thing I did too is because we're all so busy. I mean, look at you. You're going to be working until 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
So I tried to put a lot of grilling recipes in there. We still get to cook with fire. We still have charcoal. We still get those flavors, but I tried to do some quick cook items too. So there's a lot of grilled dishes in there besides just the longer cook items like ribs and brisket and pork shoulder.
Tuffy Stone joining me here on the show. One last question tonight, Tuffy, and I appreciate the time. You know, we're halfway through the year, and I mean, we kind of met through the fact that you were a great competitor. Starting out, you were winning, Team of the Year way back when, and that's kind of where we started to get together and have conversations. We're halfway through the year right now. You made bones in the competition circuit, as I had just mentioned, and you've won, if not all, at least most of the biggest events that there are to win on the competition scene. Last month, you and the team end up finaling pork shoulder at Memphis in May, again, a category that you won in 2010, by the way. Big Bob Gibson ends up getting the nod to go in the overall final against the Shed and 10 Bone. Shed wins it all, of course, but another great showing for the Cool Smoke team in the pork shoulder category. How badly would you like to notch yet one more Memphis in May victory on that belt?
You know, anybody that ever made finals in Memphis in May is just so ecstatic. Now, I would love for us to get 2 trophies in Memphis in May. I'd love for us to get a category win and win the whole thing. But I still feel like I'm a newbie when it comes to Memphis in May. There's so many tremendous accomplished cooks down there. And so just making finals was unbelievable. And Chris Lilly is just, you know him. He is a machine. Yep. He is very focused and dialed in. And I think I am too, but he is just a master with those shoulders and his track record. I think, what is that, his 11th time winning pork shoulders,
yep.
I believe.
That's right.
I'd love to do a tick better than we've done down there before, but I also feel so grateful for making finals this year, and I tell people all the time that if we never, ever win again, we've still won more than our fair share. So I'm happy with what we have accomplished, and if we ever get any more, that'll just be, I'll start to feel a little bit, I don't know what the word I'd be looking for. I feel a little greedy, because we've done so well. But anyways, it's Memphis in May is one of those special events. The energy down there is incredible.
The book is out. It's Cool Smoke, The Art of Great Barbecue. He is also one of the 3 of the 2018 BBQ Hall of Fame class that's going in a little bit later this year. And the Memphis in May whole shoulder final here this year in Memphis in May. It's Tuffy Stone. Tuffy, always appreciate the time. Thanks so much for doing it.
Greg, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate everything you're doing for all of us, giving us a place to go and listen to every week and get caught up on all the great stuff happening. And you're appreciated by me and everybody out there listening. So thanks for having me again on your show. I can't thank you enough.
You got it. There he is. It's Tuffy Stone, ladies and gentlemen. That's right.
All guests appear via the Traeger Grills hotline.
Unbelievable conversation, as always. Of course, I knew Tuffy wasn't going to disappoint in that regard. I forgot to do this video transition, so suffer through that. Apologize. Yeah. Tuffy Stone, if you need him. Q, like the letter Q. Barbecue, BARBEQUE.com. And the book, Cool Smoke, The Art of Great Barbecue, available right now. Go out and get it, Amazon.com. I think if you got the newsletter, I had a link right there in the newsletter. Let me talk to you quickly about Green Mountain Grills, some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market today, 3 different sizes to choose from. Jim Bowie is the big boy, Daniel Boone, the mid-size, Davy Crockett, the portable, let's go anywhere kind of a cooker. The Davy Crockett unique in the fact that if you don't have a power outlet, you can use a 12-volt adapter and hook it right into your car's outlet. There you go. Or van or pickup truck, whatever you drive. Because it is portable, you suffer on a little bit of capacity, but you're not suffering a huge amount of capacity for portability. The medium-sized Daniel Boone, you probably get 2-3 racks of ribs in there, definitely a couple pork butts, no doubt about it. Jim Bowie, probably doubling everything I just said for the Daniel Boone. Then you can get additional higher cooking shells if you want from an accessory standpoint. If you have the Daniel Boone and you have the Jim Bowie, if you're looking for a go-to accessory for this Father's Day, if your dad already has Daniel Boone or has the Jimbui. Get them the pizza insert. You're going to love it. It's like $120 or whatever it is. Very inexpensive. Produces high heat pizza. The Neapolitan style pies that are going very, very popular right now. I predicted that, by the way. Me and Chad Ward did end of last year. You can rip the guts out of those two, put this contraption right down on the fire pot, set the cooker's temperature. So 350 gets you about 700 in the cooker, 320, 640 in the cooker. Basically, wherever the cooker's at, you double it, and that's what the pizza oven is running at. And you can turn out pizzas 3-4 minutes tops, very quick. If you want to push up into the 500-degree cooker temperature, would get you 1,000 in the oven. Hey, that's your prerogative. I don't find that I have my best success there. Because when things go sideways, it goes sideways right now. In any event, you go to greenmountaingrills.com. That's greenmountaingrills.com and hook up. You'll be happy that you did. We'll wrap the first hour right after this. Stick around. I'll be right back.
Big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the BBQ Central Show.
Hey, this portion of the show being brought to you by FireBoard. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring or connect via Bluetooth. And if you have Alexa or Google Assistant in your home, you're in luck because FireBoard fully integrated with both. Just talk to it. Find out more by visiting FireBoard.com or call 816-945-2232, 816-945-2232, or FireBoard.com. All right. Let's see if he's listening. Hold on a second. John, you there?
Of course I'm listening.
Look at this guy. Hey, man, he's right here. It's John. Sounds like he's in studio, but he's actually in Michigan. Okay.
It's still part of the North Coast. Don't forget it.
I know. Just so you know, I know exactly what happened with Tuffy. I got it all ironed out. We'll be good for Daniel Bourdain.
Got it. I've got to guess and catch up on that later.
All right, great. Thank you for coming on. That's John, everybody. My man sounds like he is right here. Speaking of guys that are right here, holy crap, I got to turn you on. Thought you totally shined on me. It's neighbor Desmond!
Why would I totally shine on you? It's not even...
Well, I mean, you said you were going to be here for the Tuffy Stone interview that you missed.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Whatever. How's that volume in your ears?
Oh, it's pretty good.
Yeah? Need a little more flavor in your ears?
Nah.
No? I did that.
Yeah, you did that.
All right, we're getting ready for the second hour. Neighbor Desmond is in.
I am in the building.
And we will be back right after these words. Stick around. We'll be right back. You're listening and watching the BBQ Central Show right here on the BBQ Central Network.